All right, let's now invite Josh Morgan, Mayor of London, Ontario, and the Chair of Big City Mayors Caucus. Mayor, good evening and thanks for your time. Can you help us break down how this meeting went with the Prime Minister and what was your message to Mark Carney?
Yeah, I would say that it was a very productive meeting with the Prime Minister. And as he said in the intro, we got down to business. We had a frank conversation, and that's what partners do. You know, Canada's cities are here to partner with our provincial and federal counterparts to make sure that we get things done for Canadians. And, you know, that's exactly the discussion we had. There's a number of new federal programs that have been put in place. You know, our goal is to make sure they're as successful as possible by being the implementers of many of these programs on the ground in cities across this country. And, you know, what we're ready for is speed. And that was our message to the Prime Minister today. You know, sometimes when programs have to go through extensive design periods or complex negotiations with the provinces, it can really slow things down. So, you know, our pitch was let's use the tried and true methods to flow money to those municipalities who can put infrastructure in the ground right away. And let's get to work this construction season for Canadians.
Mayor Morgan, any sort of priorities or specific sectors or issues that you wanted to speak to Prime Minister about?
Yeah, we talked about a number of issues. We talked about infrastructure, housing, and public safety. These are all top of the mind issues for Canadians and for the mayors across this country. We recognize that cities are the engines of this country, and through an ambitious federal program and a renewed focus on building Canada, we know that cities are going to be at the center of that, and that's why we're well prepared to partner with the federal government on this. So, you know, what I appreciate about Prime Minister Carney is, you know, he basically said, how do we make sure our programs work quickly and flow money out the doors fast? And, you know, that's what we gave him feedback on today. And like I said, it was a very productive discussion. I think we're gonna partner on a great number of things together to build Canada.
I'm also curious to understand, Mayor, how much of trade with the United States was a part of this conversation? Because we know several of the cities, especially close to the border today, are suffering because of this trade war. How much that really figured in the conversation?
Yeah, certainly trade came up, and you can't talk about infrastructure or economy or cities growing without talking about the disruption that the international economic environment has created for those on the ground. Remember, cities are the places where consumers live and where businesses grow. And so for those of us who have extensive networks of economic integration with the United States, you know, this is a concern for us. But as the Prime Minister said, if we're going to build new trade corridors, you know, east and west, if we're going to double our output to other parts of the world, you know, those trade corridors flow through Canada's largest cities. And that's why infrastructure and housing really becomes a critical conversation that is connected with trade here in this country. And so, again, productive conversation. And we had the 23 largest cities on hand to give feedback to the Prime Minister. And I think what we came out of this with was a great commitment to partnership on how we're going to take advantage of federal programs. Yeah. And again, how we're going to continue to improve them. I mean, the Prime Minister was pretty frank. Tell me what we can do better to get money out the door quicker.
On that point, any assurances or timelines the Prime Minister gave you? While I understand Team Canada is the approach, and partnership and cooperation is extremely important, especially at this given point of time, but any assurances or timelines from the PM?
Yeah, well, I can tell you what our message was to him is there's a construction season coming, and the quicker we can flow federal infrastructure dollars out the door, the quicker we can use those in this construction year. And that means using tried and true programs like what was the old gas tax program, now, you know, the Canada Community Building Fund and the Communities Fund within Prime Minister Carney's new infrastructure envelope. That is a tried and true mechanism to flow money quickly to municipalities, and we're looking to maximize our participation in that.
Josh Morgan, Mayor of London, Ontario, and Chair of Big City Mayors Caucus. Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure.